Marvel has Galactus, Transformers has Unicron, DC has the Anti-Monitor, but Star Wars has Darth Nihilus. And what do all these characters have in common? They all have the ability to consume planets. Welcome back to Star Wars Legends Explained, where I talk about amazing characters who existed in Star Wars that Disney just straight up fucking threw away. In today's episode, we're gonna be talking about the Lord of Hunger himself. Darth Nihilus was an ancient Sith Lord who was born centuries before the events of Star Wars The Phantom Menace. He made his debut in the role-playing game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, which was a sequel to the hit role-playing game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Darth Nihilus is known for his horrific appearance and his horrific Force abilities. Darth Nihilus' story begins during the Jedi Civil War, which takes place a little bit after the Mandalorian Wars, which was started by Darth Revan on the planet Malachor 5. During the Jedi Civil War, many Jedi and Republic soldiers lost their lives, but Darth Revan had an ace up his sleeve that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Revan used a mass shadow generator to destroy the planet Malachor 5, draining it of its Force energy and killing every single Jedi and Republic soldier that was caught in the blast. Surprisingly, of all the people who died from the mass shadow generator on Malachor 5, only 3 people survived. One of them being Mitra Surik, the Jedi exile, another one being a Jedi by the name of Kreia, who later becomes the Sith Lord Darth Treya, and the third one, a random guy with no name, who had the worst of it. The mass shadow generator destroyed his body to the point where he became a monster, an entity that only survives off of Force energy, meaning in order for him to survive, he has to consume the Force energy of people, plants, animals, even planets, and it can only sustain him for a limited time. And because of Darth Revan's mass shadow generator, he now roams the galaxy with an insatiable hunger that keeps him alive. And this man, without a name, became Darth Nihilus. Darth Nihilus, alongside his fellow Sith Lord Darth Sion, were both trained in the ways of the dark side by one Darth Treya. Together, they formed the Sith Triumvirate. But later on during their reign as the Sith Triumvirate, while Darth Treya was meditating, both Darth Nihilus and Darth Sion ambushed Darth Treya and betrayed her, supposedly killing her and ruling the Triumvirate for themselves. Darth Nihilus, in his flagship, the Ravager, alongside his army of Force-drained Sith troopers, explore the galaxy for the Lord of Hunger's next meal. One of the most evil acts committed by Darth Nihilus happens on a peaceful world called Qatar, where a world inhabited by Force-sensitive beings known as Miraluka lived peacefully until Darth Nihilus' flagship, the Ravager, arrived, and Darth Nihilus himself ambushed those people, and not only killed them, but drained them of their life force to sustain his hunger, and not just the people, but the animals, the plants, even the whole planet of Qatar was drained of its life force, except for one survivor, a girl by the name of Visas Mar. Darth Nihilus found her while she was crawling in the rubble of her village, and as an act of cruelty, Darth Nihilus took the survivor as his apprentice and trained her in the ways of the dark side. But unfortunately for young Mar, Sith Masters care nothing for their apprentices, especially one as cruel as her master, who cares for nothing but to sustain his unsustainable hunger. Then on the day when Darth Nihilus' flagship, the Ravager, arrives on the planet Telos to drain it of its Force energy, Darth Nihilus himself was confronted by the exile Mitra Surik, his former apprentice Visas Mar, and Canderous Ordo, who went by the name of Mandalore. During the confrontation, Darth Nihilus attempts to drain Mitra Surik of her Force energy, but due to the fact that, like Nihilus, Surik was also a survivor of the mass shadow generator that turned them into wounds of the Force. Because of that, Darth Nihilus' powers backfired and weakened him, thus making him resort to using a lightsaber. Darth Nihilus was a strong opponent for both Surik and Mar, due to the fact that not only is Darth Nihilus a wound in the Force like Surik, but he also became a force of nature due to Revan's shadow generator, and that he was also Visas Mar's master. It was a horrific battle until Mitra Surik cut the Lord of Hunger down. Visas Mar removes Darth Nihilus' mask from his body vanishes, and that is the end of Darth Nihilus. It is said that Darth Nihilus' spirit lives on within the mask. That's why his body vanished after Mitra Surik cut him down. And unfortunately, after that, not much is known about Darth Nihilus other than the fact that he's been given a lot of action figures over the years. But maybe there's no info on, or not much info on Darth Nihilus because of the fact that maybe, Knights of the Old Republic 2 was fucking rushed during production. Yeah, that's right. Knights of the Old Republic 2 was actually rushed during production. And because of the fact that Knights of the Old Republic 2 was rushed, we barely know anything about the Sith Triumvirate, we barely know anything about Darth Traya, Darth Sion, and Darth Nihilus himself. And quests were rushed, there were barely any worlds, and yeah, there was barely any story to go by due to the fact that the game was rushed. So yeah, that's that. But that is all I have to say on Darth Nihilus. Let me know in the comments section if I missed anything, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.